Good evening. I'll call to order the Murray City Planning Commission meeting for Thursday, August 21st, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. Present this evening are Commissioners Pete Hristo, Jake Pearson, Aaron Hildreth, Katie Rogers, Peter Kling, myself, Michael Richards. Excused is Commissioner Ned Hacker. From staff, we have Zach Smallwood, David Rogers, Chad Wilkinson, and Mark Richardson, and Ruth Ruwak is excused. A reminder, if you have a cell phone, please silence it. This meeting is being recorded for public record. We're grateful to have you here tonight. From the looks of the pre-meeting, it might be a fairly quick meeting. Just a couple of etiquette items to review. When the time comes to make a comment on an agenda item, we ask that you speak in the microphone for the recording, and we also ask that you state your name and your address for the minutes. Please limit your time to 3 minutes. Once the item you are here for is over, you're welcome to leave. We just ask that you do it quietly and so that we can continue with our remaining items, which we won't have any tonight. If you're viewing this meeting online on the live stream, the only way to make a public comment is to email the Planning Commission at murray.utah.gov. Unfortunately, if you post a comment on Facebook or YouTube, it will not be seen. So we will jump right into it. Agenda item number 1 is the approval of our minutes from July 17th, 2025. Have all the commissioners had an opportunity to review the minutes?
Yes.
Any changes that need to be made?
No.
None.
Okay, I'll ask for a motion.
Chair, I make a motion that we approve the minutes from the July 17th meeting.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes have been approved. Agenda item number 2, are there any conflicts of interest for the agenda items tonight?
No.
And agenda item number 3, approval of findings of fact. Has everyone had an opportunity to review the findings of fact?
Yes.
Any changes or corrections?
No.
Okay, I'll ask for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve findings of fact for Automotive Addiction Museum for amended conditional use permit and AJ HVAC and Property Services major home occupation.
Thank you. We have a motion from Commissioner Hristo to approve the findings of fact for Automotive Addiction Museum and the AJ HVAC and Property Services. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. We have a second from Commissioner Hildreth. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the findings of fact have been approved. Let's jump into our main agenda item tonight. This is Block 1, Rockworth Companies. Is the applicant here? Thank you. And Zach is presenting, but it's kind of a team presentation, right?
Yeah, sort of. So I'll say this again just for the record because I want it to be said. This staff report came together through the three of us, as it says on the staff report. Myself, David Rogers, the senior planner, and Ruth Ruwak. Together, this was the first project in the form-based code, and they helped me a lot in reviewing it. We had to make a lot of kind of determinations on the side, or on the fly, not side, on the fly, on things. So it was very helpful, and definitely couldn't have gotten it done as fast as I did without their help. So they're also named on the staff report. So this is a design review approval, request for design review approval for a mixed-use development in the City Center Form-Based Code District for the properties that largely make up between 4800 South and 5th Avenue, which is this road right here, and from State Street on the east to Hanauer on the west. As you can see, they're highlighted in blue here. They are located in the City Center Form-Based Code or Form-Based District. I wanted to kind of touch on that a little bit. So within the City Center Form-Based Code, each one has its own. It's been placed in 2 sub-districts. So the property spans 2 sub-districts, the Boulevard District and the Civic Center District. So the residential portion of the project is going to be in the Civic Center side, which is right here. And the remainder of the project will be in the Boulevard District. I'll explain a little bit more of that as we kind of go through the staff report, as to why that matters. So here is the site plan indicating how the project is proposed to be laid out. I'll be reviewing this project through kind of a clockwise motion, starting with the multifamily building, then we'll go through the mixed use 1, mixed use 2, and then mixed use 3. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to stop me because I am going to be talking. So let's just jump right into it. So the land use ordinance does state that review of applications within the city center form-based district that are greater than an acre or buildings that are greater than 20,000 square feet require approval by the Planning Commission after a recommendation of approval from the Form-Based Codes Architectural Review Committee has made, I already said a recommendation, but has made a recommendation. They did meet at the end of July, July 31st, and they did forward a recommendation of approval with some minor modifications that we've worked with the applicant to work on. So, as I mentioned, there are 3 commercial mixed-use buildings and then the multifamily building. The 3 commercial buildings total to about 45,000 square feet of commercial space between the 2 floors on each building. And the 1 4-story residential building will house approximately 140 units that fronts on 48th and Hanauer Street. So let me also add, this includes an underground parking garage as well, 1 floor of underground parking. I believe there is, I have it in here, I don't need to believe anything. Let me just read what I said. So there's quite a bit of parking on the underground. Okay, so there are 243 below-grade structured parking. About 30 to 35 of those will be located in this section, which are reserved for city use. As part of the development agreement, we recognize that we do still use this parking lot a bit here, and we wanted to retain some of that parking for our employees. So if we're having events or something, we can actually park employees there and open this back up, open some of this other parking up for like the public and stuff like that, so employees aren't parking in there. The remainder of it is going to be specifically used for the multifamily, with the remaining of the parking spaces at surface level here. So we will jump right into the buildings. So building heights.
Just quick. The
Sure.
surface level will be accommodations for the commercial?
Commercial,
purposes?
yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And Rockworth, we've worked with Rockworth on that, and they're going to be patrolling that pretty well, keeping an eye on that, making sure it's being used by commercial and not the residential users. Okay, so as I mentioned, the form districts come into play when looking at each of the types of buildings that we'll be reviewing. So, for example, this building here, which is the proposed multifamily building, it is in the Civic Center building, which has a minimum floor or a minimum height standard and a maximum height standard. The minimum is 3, the maximum is 6. They have proposed 4 on this, and with a total height of about 51 feet. Their maximum they could have gone up to is 100 feet. That's doing some crazy things, but yeah, they could get up to 100 feet. But working with the development agreement that the RDA has done, they're at 51 feet. So here's some floor plans of the ground floor. One of the things that was called out on the staff report specifically is this frontage along here. I believe in the pre-meeting it was discussed about landscaping. The landscaping here, in the code it says it can be up to, I believe, 40% landscaping between like the sidewalk and the building, they're showing about 80%, so that does need to come down a bit. Now, I know that sounds a little scary, asking somebody to reduce the amount of landscaping, but again, as we kind of discussed in the pre-meeting, what we're trying to do is, in this code, and the way we wrote it, is to have meaningful open space, so we don't have just these little remnant little pieces, so that we can build things like the plaza right outside this building here, the historic plaza over across the street that will hopefully get built at some time here in the future. So we want to make sure that the buildings that are coming are maximized so that we could really utilize those open spaces for the public. Second, this is the second and third floors. This is going to be a mix of studios and one bedrooms. I think there might be, looks like there are 2 bedrooms as well. And then the top floor looks largely the same. However, there is a third floor amenity deck that faces eastward. Looking at the elevations of the project, it is largely stone on the bottom down here on the first floor. Then you have a mix of brick on the second and third floors, and then the fourth floor is a mix of fiber cement siding and brick as well. You can see it's very traditional in the way it looks. That was the goal, is to make this look like it's been here a while but still new. That's one of the goals of this project. So these are from the west and west and east. So this is the west face. So this is the 4800 south side. This is inside the surface parking looking out. Funny little story here. When we first got these drawings, I was very confused because we knew that there was a walkway that was going underneath the building to connect a little bit more, and you can see it here. However, this is the east side, so we were looking at the west side, and I'm like, it should be right here. And I'm like, but there's a pole in the middle of it. Come to find out, the model that they were using actually shows the building next door through it. So this is actually the 4800 South and State Street building all the way through it. Took me like 2 hours to figure that out, and it was great.
Zach, just before
Yeah.
you leave that, so this represents what we would expect physically?
Yes.
And do these buildings go in and out like this, or is it all flat? I'm not
No,
sure
it
if
is
I
not
understand.
flat. It will, I would say it looks more like this.
Mhm.
So you can kind of see, that's what these kind of show, is like there will be push and pull throughout the building. It will not be just a singular wall that goes all the way down. There should be push and pull. Okay, so again, kind of mentioned the materials here. So you have, your brick, your stone on the bottom floor, and then your fiber cement. Any questions on that building so far? Okay. So moving right along, mixed use building 1. This is the building that's located on 4800 South and State Street. Probably one of the most prized little corners right there. So it is going to be a mix of, so it's going to be a shell building so that they can lease it out to somebody that might want the whole space or just wants a portion of the space, however that ends up being built or leased out. So you'd have 2 floors here. You have the first floor, which does have ground floor activation. You can see all these doors located along State Street here. Again, you can see on these floor plans, this is, this is that push and pull, Commissioner Kling. You can kind of see it being pulled in. This pulls in quite a bit so that you have that articulation. It doesn't feel like a solid building. That's a weird thing to say, a solid building. It should be a solid building. All right, and second floor largely could be retail, but we envision it probably being some sort of office spaces as well. Again, here are elevations. This is the south and west elevations. So, so south, this would be yeah, facing, like you're looking north. This is kind of your corner here on State Street, the north elevation. And for buildings 1 and 2, I just made one slide of the materials because they are the same across both buildings. So you can see the multiple types of brick, the multiple types of stone, lots of precast concrete. They really are using really high quality materials here. So we're very happy with this project. Any questions on this building so far? Okay. All right, mixed use building 2. So that is this one right here. So we just moved, this was the multifamily building. This is the one out on State Street and 48th. So just moving right along. Again, very similar to the last building. It's going to be open to spec, so they're allowed to kind of lease this out to the user's needs. One thing I learned in the architectural review committee that I didn't realize, but on the second floors, so these are outdoor kind of like, not patios, but kind of porches, right? If you've seen Holiday, they do have something similar, a second floor up there, but this will actually connect to the building just south of it as well. So it will have a little connection across the little public plaza or the little public walk-through from State Street that goes across.
Does it only connect buildings 2 and 3, not 2 and 1?
That's what I understand, yep. And this one I'm really excited to talk about. One of the things that we recognize the historic significance of the Mercantile Building and some of those buildings that were on State Street. So we, as they were designing the buildings, we showed them some historic photos of the Mercantile Building and said, hey, can you recreate that facade? Do kind of pay homage to it, because we understand the building's not in a condition that can be kept, and it will end up being torn down. So they actually took historic photos and are accurately redoing rebuilding the Mercantile facade to what it used to look like back in the 1900s, before the great green metal siding that's on it now. I'm really excited that they took that into consideration and decided to do it. So should be really, really great little building. Okay, mixed use building 3, largely the same. I feel like a broken record. It's open area, potential restaurant, retail space, and like I said, it connects across to building 2. And then here you can see the materials. This one does have a little bit different materials. It kind of has a lighter brick on this one as well. But overall, it's largely, it all fits a very cohesive theme. It doesn't feel the same in any one place. It does feel like they are multiple buildings as part of one cohesive project. So a couple things I wanted to draw your attention to as well. As part of this project, they are going to be dedicating some of the property back to the city for sidewalk improvements and some traffic improvements. So engineering's requested a little bit, a modification to the existing turn lane to add a bike lane on that section. So we'll have a bike lane that, because right now I think it just ends like right here. And so it will actually continue through the intersection of State Street and 4800 South. Then you can also see it's all this purple hashed stuff. They'll be dedicating some more sidewalk and those types of improvements back over to the city.
But you're limited in what you can do on State Street specifically?
We are.
UDOT.
Yes, because it is owned by the Utah Department of Transportation, we are very limited on what we can and can't do on State Street. So here is the landscaping plan. They are going to be meeting the standards within the form-based code. So they're actually going to be preserving the existing plantings and trees that are out on Hanauer already. Since the city installed them, we were like, be nice to just keep them. So they're maturing very nicely, very well. They're looking very well done. They will be adding trees along 4800 South to meet the form-based code. They're going to maintain the trees on State Street, which does meet the form-based code. They're the same species. We didn't want to mess that up too much. And then adding trees along that south side on Fifth Avenue, which I think will make it a much better experience. I don't know if you guys have walked that little strip between the old costume shop and Fifth Avenue. It gets a little narrow. So it'll feel a lot better. And yeah, this is just kind of showing some of the treatments for the planters, the raised planters they're putting within the site, maintaining a lot of the benches and trash receptacles. This is that little plaza area. Well, it looks like they're going to be putting some string lights in there, really trying to activate the spaces, make them really well done for people. So, any questions on building, landscaping, anything so far?
So if you don't mind, I'd like you to summarize the traffic study that you sent out to us. I didn't really have a chance to look at it too carefully. What were its conclusions? What were the potential recommendations and things that you guys are?
Yeah, so largely the traffic impact analysis is reviewed by the city engineer. I'll go into a little bit of it, but it's a very technical document. When I sent it out, I made sure you guys were aware of that. So it does state that a lot of the intersections will continue to operate at acceptable levels, which levels means level of service. The level of service runs from A to F. Pretty much anything from A to like E are acceptable levels of service, depending on how you look at it. Now, what a traffic study looks at is a point in time, the AM peak hour and the PM peak hour. So just the 2 hours out of the day, and then evaluates the delay that a vehicle may experience during that movement in travel. So in the diagrams, it shows, let's see if I have a better intersection. So for example, here's 4800 South and State Street, right? So it'll assign a grade level to a right-hand turn onto State Street, and it'll say what level of service that is. And largely, as said, most of those will maintain in those same acceptable areas. The only spot that it indicated will not be doing well, and it currently doesn't do well, is Fifth Avenue and State Street making a left-hand turn. Because you can, if you are so brave, make a left-hand turn from Fifth Avenue onto State Street. I've seen it happen a couple times. I don't know who is that brave, but I'm not. But it does say a delay of exceeding 300 seconds, which I don't know if you've ever sat in your car for 300 seconds. That's a very long time. So that is the one that will continue to fail. And I think, as I mentioned in the staff report, staff has been working with UDOT on potential pedestrian improvements to State Street. We think we see a benefit in closing that off to left-hand turns. But again, because it is owned by UDOT, I can't pick up a piece of rock off that without.
And the city
yelled at.
can't put a no left-hand turn from Fifth?
Nope, because it is maintained by UDOT.
But not Fifth. Fifth isn't.
So the way that it works, funny enough, is that they do have, because it's accessing onto their street, I believe, and I'm not exactly 100% sure on the distance, but I think it's somewhere from 150 to 300 feet back from their right-of-way. They get to control a lot of what happens in that space. So they can't fully control it, but signage, things of that nature, they do get a say. Hence why there was in your report, the engineer's comments said get a UDOT access level 2 survey or something like that nature, and Rockworth is actively working on that as well.
So out of that study, did the engineers indicate any recommendations to ameliorate the future volume associated with this project?
So there were some things that are kind of outside the scope of this project specifically. There was some recommendations for the Vine and State Street intersection, because they did evaluate 4800 South and State, Fifth Avenue and State, Vine and State, and then Hanover and 48th. And the Vine and State Street is where they made some recommendations, and the city engineer is aware of those recommendations. And again, we'll be working with UDOT to potentially do those. It was something, I think it was about a right-hand turn.
Improvements to the right-hand turn and signal.
Yeah, signal timing and improvements to the right-hand turn. Okay, so I'll just kind of wrap things up. So we sent out 75 notices to property owners within a 500-foot radius. At the time of this presentation, we did receive one email in favor of the project. Findings here: the proposed mixed-use development is consistent with the goals and objectives of the Murray City General Plan. The proposed development is in harmony with the standards and intention of the Form-Based Code and Downtown Strategic Plan. The proposed buildings and materials reflect the historic context of existing buildings along the State Street corridor. And with conditions, as indicated, the proposed development complies with the requirements of the City Center Form-Based Code and other applicable standards of the Murray City Land Use Ordinance. So with that, staff and the Architectural Review Committee recommends that the Planning Commission grant the design review approval, subject to the 9 conditions. And I'm happy to have any questions?
I just wanted to reiterate some things that we said in the pre-meeting for the audience here. The height is pretty consistent with the existing height of the older buildings and what historically we've had on that block.
I
So
would
we're not indicating any significant increase over the,
So I would say for with the 3-story building, yes, it's going to be close to that. With the 1-story buildings, yeah, they'll be going up a little bit from 1 to 2. But you'll have largely the same look and feel.
I had a couple questions about the parking.
Sure.
So it said that there's 165 parking stalls on the above ground level, right? Okay, so is that for commercial use only, or are residents going to park there as well?
No, from what I understand, I believe that Rockworth plans to not have any residents park there at all.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, we can't stop somebody from stopping quickly to grab something in their unit, right? But
I was just
Largely,
curious if
no.
that's going to be enough for all the commercial activity. There's
Yeah.
a lot of restaurants.
yeah, there's a lot of space. There is also, we have parking here on City Hall's site. We have some over here. We're trying to create a district that hopefully people will be coming here a lot by foot traffic as well.
Okay, sorry.
Can I ask a question regarding that?
I
So
don't
the public parking, is that going to be free parking? Is that what
Oh, yeah,
public
I mean, it's
parking is?
just going to be like City Hall parking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Sorry.
No, you're good. Still on the subject of parking, I did notice that the wastewater folks made a comment about they don't currently approve of I lost the wording of it, but I'm assuming some work needs to be done with the wastewater to make all that work. And is any of that rerouting going to cause any change in the number of the parking stalls down there?
I don't anticipate it. They're just going to have to reroute where that's going.
Okay.
And they'll be actively working with the wastewater group and with water, power, everyone. I mean, overall, that's why we put the condition in that they have to meet the requirements, right? Because, yeah, we don't want them to come back and say, well, we didn't know. Yeah, so.
Fair enough. Thank you.
so on the parking too, the parking for after hours for our theaters and entertainment and so on would be available to the public?
That's kind of hard to say. I mean, if somebody's patronizing like a restaurant or something there and then going
Or
afterwards.
the New Murray Theater or
Yeah.
even Desert Star, which I
Yeah.
understand has its
I
own
mean, if
parking.
somebody's, I don't think, it's complex, right? Like, the city wouldn't really regulate that. It's just like we wouldn't, go scold somebody if they parked at Fashion Place and went to the University of Utah Clinic, right, across the way. We wouldn't scold them or say, you can't do that, this is for Fashion Place only. But I believe that it should balance itself out. The parking standards are pretty consistent with the rest of the zoning ordinance, with the rewrite from the MCCD to the form-based code. So I think they're gonna be, and they're overparked by the number, by a significant number than what they need.
So, sorry, those 30 stalls reserved for the city, do they have an intended purpose, like city employees only kind of a thing? Okay.
Yeah, as of right now, I believe it's city employees only.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Zach.
Thank you.
Can we have the applicant please come to the podium? And please state your name and your address for the record.
Hi, I'm Sarah Namelka with Rockworth Companies. Address is 4655 South, 2300 East, and that's Unit 205.
Thank you. Have you had an opportunity to read the conditions?
Yes, we've been over them extensively.
I bet you have, and are you able to comply with them?
Yes.
Thank you. Is there anything else you'd like to add to the public comment?
First, thanks for having us. Your staff has been amazing to work with, and we have to say that at every meeting. They're wonderful. A couple of comments that were made earlier that I'm happy to, clarify. For the parking, if you do a parking study and you look at kind of the shared uses, there's over 10 stalls per 1,000 square feet in the evening. So that'll be super good for restaurants. That's more than most sites in the city can boast. But day to day, without the shared parking, it's more like 4 per 1,000. So if we had every use, every square foot being utilized at the same time. Underground parking structure will only be for staff on that one section. And then in the other side, it will only be for residential uses. We will not let residential patrons utilize the first level of parking. That will only be for the commercial uses. We may have to police at some time if that's getting overrun by theater users or other users. But at the moment, as Zach mentioned, we're not currently going to. And that would go for staff as well, parking there and maybe walking over. UDOT, we are also in active conversations with UDOT, trying to be proactive about making sure that some of those changes are made. So we've been meeting with them as well. There was a comment about signage and wayfinding. We're happy to discuss that further, and we want to make sure it's clear. So we will actively work on that. Another question that came up was condos versus apartments. If I could build condos on these sites, I would do it all day long. I want, users within this valley to have access to the ability to grow wealth generationally for themselves. But unfortunately, at the moment, there are issues with liability, insurance, and taxes. Especially the liability is probably the biggest one, and insurance is the second biggest one. But I would encourage you all to look at the most recent legislation. We, as Rockworth, are actively working with the state to change some of that, to try to build more affordable condos within the community. So at the moment, it's apartments based off of the development agreement that we have with the city. But we would love to build some condos in your community. That's probably all that I have. Appreciate your time and your review.
Thank you. Any questions?
I do, but. So, Sarah,
Go ahead.
I appreciate, I'm interested in what you touched on, what the market is like right now.
Yeah.
It seems to me, and I'm not an expert, but it seems there's been a transition to more leasing versus ownership in the apartment build-out market. You indicated taxes and a bunch of legislative things, but is that the sole reason, or is it just the market economics of affordability for people to purchase versus renting?
It's a great question, and it's quite a lengthy explanation, but I'll try to do it quickly. So as a developer, if you develop condos and you sell them, you're paying ordinary capital gains taxes on the sale of those condos. So automatically, you have to sell them for more at the moment in order to kind of recoup your overall costs. So we're able to rent them cheaper than we would sell them for, is kind of the high level. There's other liabilities, though, that are kind of more lengthy. So, for example, many of the architects in this valley, in this country, aren't even willing to draw condos for us because of the liabilities that come with them. They're able to be sued for years and years and years off of defects that, we could take care of if we own the building as an apartment building. So HOAs versus ownership of the building, it becomes pretty complicated. And obviously, most developers, engineers, and architects aren't willing to take on that risk. So I think that kind of covers the basis. But like I said, we're dying to build condos, and we would love to. I think it's a needed product within the marketplace. And it gives people the ability, to buy something smaller and build that wealth for themselves. And I think that's something that's missing in the valley, is that $300,000 to $500,000 unit to
So,
purchase.
Along those lines, is Rockworth going to be the property manager too?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
And that's a great point. So we manage almost all of our projects. 21s is a great example, Holiday Village is a great example, Decker Station Apartments is a great example, but all of those have a mixed-use component, so we're actively there policing the site for parking and, issues day to day.
What do you anticipate the rental demographic to be? I think in 2017, Murray's average median income was 57, so that's maybe 60 now.
Yeah,
Where do you see the affordability
yeah.
for your apartments?
So I believe the AMI has actually gone up quite a bit since then, but I don't want to misquote it. I think right now, Murray has the beautiful ability to access kind of this whole valley, really close to tons of shops and restaurants, also close to freeway access. My guess is that you're going to get a handful of individuals who are, fresh out of college with an awesome job and maybe a roommate. I think you're going to get quite a few people who are young single couples looking to kind of live in that downtown environment, but maybe they can't afford $3,000 or $4,000 rent per month in downtown Salt Lake in a skyrise. I also think you'll be surprised that you'll have some individuals who are looking to just downsize. Maybe they even sold a house and it's two individuals who are looking to kind of have that city life, but have the amenities that go with it. And that's kind of the demographic. There's kind of three categories, I guess, that we're targeting that we think we'll see.
On the commercial space, it sounds like from the staff's presentation, you've given yourself flexibility in terms of how you allocate that space between perhaps retail/restaurants,
Yep.
office. And so how do you see that market?
Yeah, maybe to back up a little further from that, every single space within the commercial building will be restaurant capable. And the idea here is we want the ultimate flexibility. So the goal would be to create a project like Holiday Village where the uses really complement one another, activate the site kind of all the time. I actually met yesterday with a restaurant user who's already interested in trying to lease. I met today with a couple of brokers who wanted to bring some restaurant users. 2 weeks ago, we met with a retail group. So people are very interested. So we're looking kind of for the ultimate flexibility here. I do think we'll attract some of the office users, like maybe aesthetics, dental, those types, maybe a tax firm, design company. Those are the kinds of uses maybe upstairs that I think we'll see, but there's quite a bit of interest already, so I think it'll be an interesting mix.
Great questions. Commissioner Hildreth, did you have a question, or was it Jake?
I didn't, but I do now.
Okay, go ahead.
I just wondered if you had a project completion target date.
Yeah, it's a great question. It kind of all depends on tonight. It depends on how the review times go, but why don't I speak just very generally to it? Let's say, without being presumptuous, that tonight goes swimmingly, my hope would be to start construction drawings next week. Our team is fantastic. I think that a 90-day construction drawing period isn't out of the realm of options, but they might need a little more time, especially because that bumps into holidays. After that, we would turn it into the city. We have a very specific timeline outlined with the city for their review process. It's quicker than a lot of cities. I want to say it's like 4 weeks. But it'll probably take 2 or 3 passes. All of this to say, I would hope to have a shovel in the ground early Q2 of next year if things go really well.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe one more thing to elaborate on that. These are relatively modest buildings, right? And so I think a 24 to 28 month construction period isn't out of the realm of opportunities. So
That's from breaking ground to finish?
from breaking ground to finish, yeah.
Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I'll now open up the meeting for public comment. If you'd like to make a public comment on this agenda item, you may come to the podium. Please state your name and your address to the microphone and limit your time to 3 minutes. Nothing, huh? Okay. While seeing none, I will close the public comment. Is there any other discussion amongst the commissioners? Oh, you're good? Okay. All right, I think we're ready. So I guess I will ask for a motion.
Chair, I'll make a motion that the Planning Commission grant design review approval for the Block 1 mixed-use project on the properties located between 4800 South to Fifth Avenue and State Street to Poplar Street, subject to the 9 conditions.
Thank you. So we have a motion from Commissioner Pearson to, that the staff and the Architectural Review Committee recommend to the Planning Commission that we grant design approval for the Block 1 mixed-use project on the properties located between 4800 South to Fifth Avenue and State Street to Poplar Street, subject to the 9 conditions. Do we have a second?
Chair, I'll second.
Thank you. I have a second from Commissioner Kling. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, thank you. Zach, can you take a roll call vote?
Definitely. Commissioner Pearson,
Yes.
Commissioner Kling,
Yes.
Commissioner Hildreth,
Yes.
Commissioner Rogers,
Yes.
Commissioner Haristo,
Yes.
and Chair Richards.
Yes.
Okay?
Thank you. Congratulations. The motion is passed. Good luck. That is the end of our agenda. Do we have any announcements? Zach?
I don't really have anything. I think Chad mentioned at the last Planning Commission meeting about the Utah APA in October. I don't know how many of you signed up, so I'll just
did.
throw that back out there. So, yeah. And then we will have a Planning Commission on the 4th. A few items on that one should be pretty easy. And yeah, any questions you guys have right now, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks. Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn
At what time?
at
7:13.
7:14.
Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you.